Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back with another Death Knight solo video. Today we are doing the Headless Horseman for the Halloween event. Now, originally I was going to suggest that this can be done in either Frost or Blood. I've done it once in Frost, but I actually went to record it the other day and died doing so. A couple of times. Now, one of those times I was in the wrong presence, but anyway, it's just a bit safer to do it in Blood, I think. So that would be my recommendation for today. Now, the downside to this is that the fight's a little bit slower, but, you know, you don't really want to waste your lockout and waste your daily and not be able to kill it. So, pretty easy fight. There's a few things to worry about. We'll go ahead and start it right now, and I'll let you know as we go. Basically, all you need to do is tank the boss, Frost Presence, Blood Spec, self-heal the whole way through, stay at maximum health. When the Horseman switches to the head, we need to make sure that we kill the head, and we just need to make sure that we have enough DPS to kill the head quickly, because if we don't, we basically have to do the head phases multiple times. So pretty standard sort of fight that we're going to do here. Just going to apply our diseases, get buffs up, and like I said, just make sure we stay at full health using Death Strike when we can, and refresh diseases as we can. We're going to burn him down to 0 or 1% health, and when we do that, the head will come out, and we'll switch DPS over to the head, and we'll kill that next. Now, the conflag ability that he does if you're in a group doesn't actually happen when you're solo, so that's nice. And the other thing to worry about is, in the later phases, you'll see he summons little pumpkin heads, and that's really the main worry or concern in this fight. Just the amount of damage they do. So we'll be saving cooldowns for that period, and making sure that they don't overwhelm us with damage. And that's sort of why we want to stay Blood here, is just to make sure that we stay at a good amount of health throughout the whole encounter. Because that's where sort of you get caught off guard. So, not the quickest fight. A lot quicker if you do it with 5 people, and arguably better if you do it with 5 people, because then you get more chance for the loot, depending on if you run with the same group. But if you're looking at soloing it, maybe for the mount, at least you get a guaranteed, no one to roll against if it drops, so that's kind of nice. And it's also just a case of soloing stuff is fun. So we'll go ahead and we'll self-heal. Make sure that we're at full health for each transition. I'm not going to worry about refreshing diseases here just because of how low he is. And I'll be using a simple rune tap at the end, just to bring myself back up to full. And he should switch over to the head very shortly. Now, what happens with the head phase is that if we don't DPS the head enough in a certain period of time, then we will have to repeat the Horseman phase. So, I'm not going to use any cooldowns right now, but we're just going to make sure that we're pumping as much damage, saving our runic power for when the head's out, and just putting in as much. I believe it's 66%. And that's the first phase done. We'll go ahead and we'll get diseases back up. Make sure that we're at full health. Same deal. Nothing too special going on yet. Having these little ads isn't really a problem. They can be useful as well if I ever need to spread diseases back and forth between the phases, but it's not important. It's not needed. Nothing to worry about. They'll die to the dots anyway. As I said earlier, most important thing, stay at maximum health throughout the whole duration. Simply because we don't want to get caught off guard and, be at 50% health and suddenly taking a lot of damage and not be able to self-heal all the way back up. Now, the beauty of Blood is that's almost never going to happen. The amount of self-sustain in Blood Spec is pretty insane. You will notice I've got a flask from Raid last night, but that's not, required. It'll obviously help a little bit, but it's not super important in this case. What I'm also going to go ahead and do, just bring my volume down a little bit. I did reinstall OBS in my PC the other day, so I'm not too sure. Sound-wise, I haven't tested it. I literally just installed OBS a few minutes ago. So hopefully wasn't too overwhelming, the amount of noise. in the first few minutes here. But yeah, as I mentioned earlier, just in case the sound was shit, is that we'll be staying in Blood Spec. It's doable in Frost, but it's a lot harder. And we'll be self-healing, burning him down. Switch to the head. Now, we didn't really save Runic Cow in this situation, but what I will do is sort of ignore the damage coming in, just to make sure that we burn the head down enough. And a little cheeky death stroking there, simply because we have the runes to do it. And we just need to get the head to 33%. I believe we did it there. There's a bit of a time gate to this. And this is the hard part, assuming that we hit the phase correctly. And we did. And this is the hard part, is the pumpkins. So they do a lot of damage. We need to make sure that we keep diseases up. We're going to chuck a death and decay down. And I'm just looking for my Army of the Dead because I don't play Blood very often. There it is. And we'll get rid of that. And we'll summon an army. Just to help with the damage here. Red disease, vampiric blood, big self heals, big self heals. So as you can see, this is where it starts to really ramp up, and the amount of damage taken. And this is really the only phase we have to worry about. Just make sure that the pumpkins are dying with the disease spread of the dots. If they're not, or if you want to do it a little bit quicker, we pop a cheek death and decay, spread blood. Running out of runes, so we'll just use a quick rune weapon. Stay at max health is the most important thing. We haven't used Icebound Fortitude yet. We can still do so if the damage starts to overwhelm us. But the beauty of blood is that the amount of self-sustain is extremely high, and you know, it's not really too much to worry about. Now, I did let the diseases drop off here, which isn't ideal, because now I need to spread them and switch over to the head and nuke the head, and we're taking a lot of damage because we didn't kill the pumpkins in time. It's not too much to worry about. Really, the most important thing is that we don't repeat this phase by not killing the head in time, so we just make sure that we give the head everything we've got here. Pump it up with damage, pump it up. We'll use the diseases that were currently on that pumpkin to go ahead and respread back to the boss. Nice little bonus. Now, I may have actually missed the phase there. Can't remember if we do the pumpkins twice or not. We might actually do so. But I have a feeling like maybe the head was at about 2% instead of 0. Not ideal, but also not the end of the world. Luckily, Blood Spec has that sustain that we need to be able to do this. However, we are basically out of cooldown, so what we're going to prio here is making sure that we stay on max health, because the pumpkins do a fair bit of damage. What I'm going to go and do here is use use Vampiric Blood and get some big self heals off. Just so that these pumpkin heads don't do too much for me here. Go ahead and grab our gold just for a little bit of support. And you can see they really do start to overwhelm, so we'll go ahead and use Icebound Fortitude and our dodge trinket. Go for a death and decay here. Now this really isn't an ideal situation because what we need to do now is essentially burn the head. Yeah, look at that. We missed it by one hit. We did repeat that phase twice, so that's what happens if you don't do enough damage. Let's see what we get here. Crap. Part and parcel, that's the way it goes sometimes. No mount, unfortunately. But that's how you do it. Now, probably what I'd recommend is saving that Army of the Dead for that last head phase, or switching sooner, neither of which I did. But hey, that's just basically what you're up against, and as I said, if you don't do enough DPS in that last head phase, you have to repeat the pumpkin phase, which as you can see, gets a little bit spicy. But that's it. Solo 80 Death Knight, Headless Horseman, not too hard. Stay in blood spec. Rust is a little bit too spicy. It's doable, but a bit trickier. A lot quicker fight though. And yeah, hope you enjoyed. See you.